you know that podcast that was very popular, the Tonight's Conversation, and they have all these different kind of topics. So Randi Rosario, who is on that show or from that podcast, laid out something on social media yesterday that got my attention. She made the argument that if you have to coerce a woman out of the sex, then you're just as bad as somebody who does physical harm to them. Like, meaning you had to convince them. Like, have you ever had to, like, the question, have you ever had to convince a girl to hook up with you? And I mean, I'm not judging you, but I'm saying for the conversation. Before you answer that, Meredith, have you ever been convinced to do the do by a guy? Like you weren't planning on it, but he had the certain thing to say, or he had the certain sweetness that he showed, and you gave in. Have you ever had to be convinced or done the convincing?
Yeah, of course. I know a lot of guys can relate when you're just laying in the bed and it's like in the morning you're just waking up and you give them the nudge. You know, like the nudge, like kind of deal.
All right. I don't want to
You know
look
what
in
I'm
your
talking
eyes
about?
while you're talking about the nudge. I'm going to look away while you talk about
But
this.
like, I'm sure a lot of guys can relate when they've been trying to get into that mood with their lady, and their lady's like, "No, stop," and then
Right.
it's kind of like the Pepe Le Pew. You keep on going until she.
We were with you until you mentioned Pepe Le Pew because he got canceled.
Oh yeah, he did get canceled. But like all of us have done that. Like she tells you to stop, and you just nudge a little bit to see how much you could get away with, and to see if she really means no. Like
he said,
but
it sounds so bad.
I'm glad you at
But
least
we've done it
acknowledge it.
before.
But don't say we. We only talking about you. We only talking about you. No. Meredith, how do you feel when you hear this line of hey, that coercion is a negative? It's bad. It's not seen as healthy.
Right. It depends on how the situation is handled and how you feel. I have been in said situation many times before. Personally, I mean, whether I'm single or with somebody, I mean, sometimes it's nice. Sometimes you're just either lazy or you're just not in the mood, but you kind of want to. So a little nudge, a little push in that direction. When you're done with everything, you're like, I'm happy I did that. Yeah. And it's fun at the end of the day. Most of the time, it's fun.
Somebody say I don't like the word coerced.
Coerced, yeah.
But it's a definable word. It does mean that you've been, kind of cajoled to do it. It means you've been urged to take part in something you might not have wanted to do.
It's suggested. Maybe you weren't planning on it. Like a lot of girls we will intentionally not shave or shave our legs or not wear.
I have heard of that.
Yes, and I've done this before, or not worn the correct underwear or something like that because it wouldn't be as attractive or sexy.
Keeping obstacles.
Yes, but then all of a sudden, an extra glass of wine, the conversation
and you
is
like,
good.
forget that stubble.
Right. And then I would always bring up like, oh, I forgot to shave. Do you care? And the guy's like, hell no, I don't
hell
care.
Nah, I don't care.
Exactly. So
Jess
like,
just
okay.
wrote convinced or coerced. Two very different terms in this scenario.
I would say convinced.
Convinced.
The way that you presented the question and I was just explaining it made it sound so nasty, like I was trying to convince her to do it.
Well, that's what Rosario is saying on this, though. She's saying that we've kind of made coercion or made that convincing so normal that people don't necessarily go off your first wish, which is, no. But it's like no is supposed to mean no, but like you said it, they're like no, stop.
But and
then you moved your shoulder in when you said it. No.
But I feel like girls like that hard to get like little play around.
Sometimes
like no, and then you're like, baby, you look so good right now.
I've been convinced and I've been coerced before, and at the end of the day, it's your decision. I think as a woman and growing up and becoming a mature woman, you have to learn how to stand on business. If you're not in the mood or you really don't want to with somebody, it's important to keep saying no, and you mean it. You don't have to be rude about it. Like, I'm not in the mood.
You know when she really doesn't want to.
Right, there's kind of like,
you know the cue. Like
cute.
If you go here and she's like, no, don't even think about coming over here like that. Like, but if she's like, no, stop, you're being so silly. Oh my God, stop.
Christina just wrote, sometimes my mind be telling me no,
but
my body be telling me yes.
Yes.
So I need to be convinced.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, I'm not going to speak for all women, but there are some women, we just get in our head, or we're just tired after the kids and stuff like that. But my body wants to, but my mind is like, I just want to go to sleep.
We're talking about Randi Rosario from the Tonight's Conversation. She put out something on social media yesterday that was one of their blogs saying if you've ever had to coerce a woman out of the panties, then that is as egregious as doing physical harm to her, because you are imposing something that is your wish on somebody who doesn't wish to participate. So now you're trying to convince them.
Wait,
It's going to happen at some point.
you girls do it to us too, though.
I have absolutely done this to a guy.
Yeah, you girls know what you do.
Where he
100%.
didn't want to?
Yeah, he's not in the mood or whatever this person
middle
is
of
feeling. Work, absolutely. Or yes, on
You
a
girls
business
do it
call.
to us every morning. You know what you do. You back it up a little bit. Y'all do it to us.
Like,
Mike
no.
says it only matters if you're hot or ugly.
What do you mean? It really
I guess if
Nah,
you're
that's
hot, it's convincing, and if you're ugly, it's coercion, I guess. I don't know. Chris says, how do you initiate sex without being coerced?
I feel like it seems like you're being manipulative when you know the person repeatedly told you no. That's not what I'm leaning on here. I just like the suggestive reasoning and the flirtation and the touching, the petting and all that stuff. I feel like that kind of brings you in.
We're getting a lot of responses here. These are interesting. A13 says, sometimes we just say no so you can take it. In a relationship, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
So they could put up the obstacle.
Yeah. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Have you ever done this, Convinced?
You know what? I think we all have.
Yeah.
I think we all have. But this conversation makes you feel like Rich was saying, it makes you feel dirty to actually admit it because it sounds bad. It sounds like you got hit with a no and you didn't take no for an answer.
But most of us have been there
which
and done it.
is something that you can go to jail for.
See, I like this.
Sounds
text.
terrible.
It sounds
This
bad.
text right here explains it right here. It says, y'all call it coerce, I call it marriage. Like, this is what it is.
I mean, but that's what that person said. In a relationship, mind you, or if you're locked in, then I mean, I think you still have to respect somebody's words. But some people play that cat and mouse thing.
Right.
Like I've had a person, specifically a person who came over to kick it, and I kind of sat back to see how they felt.
Right.
They kind of sat back to see, all right, what is he gonna do?
Yeah.
And then nothing ended up happening.
Okay.
And then afterwards, when the person left, they were like, man, I really wish you
I really wish you would have.
And I was like, yo, I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I was kind of like, I was ready. And they're like,
But you have to do that in this
Somebody
day
has
and age.
to initiate.
What-
Somebody
I'm
has
not
to be the person.
but I
to-
mean, but you can tell if a person, like, they're literally waiting for you to drive all the way over
I've
to
said
their
this
side.
to somebody before in my past, or a couple of people. I'm just like,
Where you
why didn't you at least try? Why didn't you at least, just a little something?
But see, that's the thing. Like last week, I said that same thing, and then there were people on the text line that were like, "Oh, just because you hang out with a girl doesn't give you automatically their draws."
But
No.
try.
It's if somebody came over specifically with that in mind. But if you're not aware that they came over for that and they haven't articulated that, then now you're just in that kind of like purgatory where you're like, do I got cleared to
I'm
land?
pushing
Am I cleared to
forward.
land?
Yeah.
Am I what? You know what I mean? So I would hate to think that I made somebody do something that they didn't like the idea.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to convince somebody or something.
I'm gonna keep it a buck though. Like in this day and age, it's kind of scary though to be very forward with a lot of females because you're afraid of getting in trouble for something. Like something was miscommunicated and you did something and like you took it as a sign, like, oh, maybe this girl wants to get with me.
Well, because your story is different from hers. Like
Yeah,
you're like, well, I was
exactly.
just trying to see if you were in the mood. And
She
she's
invited
like,
me over.
He's pushing himself on me.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
never want to be
different.
that guy. Look how
Right.
that sounds.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want anybody walking away saying, "Man, I went over there and hung out, and he was all over me like a spider."
But if a
monkey."
girl's
Like,
coming
yeah.
over to your house and it's like in the afternoon, you guys are Netflix and chilling or, getting there. I mean, there's a reason she's there. So it's just advice for you guys in the room, anybody that's listening. I mean, it's just trying just a little something, nothing overt, nothing too strong, but just test it out. Just to
Don't
see
that
what's going
sound
on.
bad though?
No, it doesn't. If I'm over
What you
there,
just said, doesn't that sound bad?
no. Not to me.
I've
been the one that's
she
driven
came
away.
over and you know why she's there.
If it's late at night.
But if a guy said that to another guy,
night,
if you overheard me tell Rich, dude, she's at your house. You know what she's there for.
Yeah.
I would sound like a douche.
I'm
like,
not
that would
telling
be terrible.
I'm not telling you to jump on her. I'm telling you just to
some people will take that as very aggressive. And it could be a problem.
Yeah. It could. In this new world that we're in today, that could be seen as a person leaving your place
I'm
saying,
not telling you
oh my God,
anything,
he was all over me.
But it just, if she's putting herself in that position, if I'm there and it's like 12 o'clock,
watch
it's
your
1
words.
o'clock.
Pick your words carefully.
And I like you. And there's a reason I'm there too. I want to get to know you, see the vibe, blah, blah, blah. And we're watching a movie or something and it's cute and we're next to each other. I'm probably want to see, it doesn't mean we're going all the way. And I'm just want to see like what's going on under the jeans a little bit. It's petting.
But see,
petting.
say you
I
do
gotta
that.
size you up a little bit.
Say you're
a man.
But I'm saying, say you're tickling each other, right? And
how did we get to tickling?
I'm just saying
that's part of the coercion.
But I'm saying you're tickling each other, right? And then all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, stop! You're playing too much." And then it's like, "Okay, you don't stop." Is that considered still coercion, or is that too much being aggressive?
What I'm saying? Tickling has always been a low-key way to grope somebody.
Yeah.
That's always been like, ooh, tickle, tickle, tickle. Yeah. I'm a grown woman. I don't be tickling me. This just said out of the 813 perfectly. The whole situation is a lose-lose. That's when you talk about it, it really makes it sound worse. He said it, I said it, and you even said it over here. Like, well, you know what I'm here for. It's like all that we are saying sounds horrible.
Sure.
It does sound like she's right. Like if you're actually convincing or you're doing some coercion type thing, you are probably as egregious as somebody physically harming somebody.
Well, you just keep that to yourself. You have to read the room. You got to read the vibes between. It's every single situation is totally different. If the woman is coming over because she just wants to hang out with you at 1 a.m. and watch a movie.
Some woman might do that.
Right, because she's bored or lonely or something like that. That could happen, but then she's not going to necessarily be putting her butt on you and like cuddling with you. See what I'm saying?
Chris said it perfectly right here. Sometimes you ain't hungry, but you can eat. All it takes is a little nudge.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Orlando and the Freak Show.
Thanks for checking out our video. We really appreciate it, and I know you want some more, so make sure you hit like and hit subscribe right below.